They say Ye is worth 10 billion.
25.
My homegirl at Adidas says he's worth way more. He has that much controlling interest in at Adidas, and so
I saw
Adidas.
something that said he was 40% of Adidas' income.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
probably more than that, man.
Oh,
I think it's being underreported. That's what she
Yeah.
says. If she want to hear real numbers, it's being underreported.
But he's like, he lost like Gap and everything.
He lost all that shit, but the problem is that he's created such a subculture to where he literally has to GoFundMe for people to want to make him a billionaire again. So like,
which is kind of absurd.
it's absurd.
Like the
It's
fact
insane.
that people donate money to him, but there's like people that could
People
like
starving.
Yeah,
No.
no,
But seriously,
100%.
though, yeah.
But that's
yeah.
like the fucking
people who are
bare
homeless,
all.
people who have
So,
nothing. Yeah.
What's up, guys? It's Kyle the Worst. This is the Worst Show. What's up, guys? This is Kyle the Worst. You're watching the Worst Show. As always, I got my co-host to the left of me.
Let's start over. Moon.
Fuck Terrence on Instagram. Today we got an awesome guest with us, a man that wears many hats. I know him as a producer and a manager, but he also does a lot more than that.
Absolutely.
Ashley Booker, why don't you
I
introduce
appreciate
yourself?
I appreciate that, guys. Yeah, hey, thank you so much, first of all, guys, for having me.
Absolutely.
But absolutely, I'm a producer. I would consider myself, honestly, entrepreneur. Like, I got into the music business. Music business is how I got into everything. It launched me being a music producer. I've produced for lots of acts. Been in the business for quite some time, and also through producing, learned the business pretty well to where honestly I could, I know pretty much every facet of it, which makes me a great manager and
Right. The ins and outs.
just everything, man. Yeah. Like when it comes to music, I feel like,
Yeah, you kind of know. You know what talent is, and you know how to.
I can
engage in
identify
that talent.
I can pinpoint kind of like actually what it takes to kind of get a brand from point A to B. And,
Right, and you can create progress.
And
for
absolutely,
that
and then I
talent.
can actually create the music and help in the creative process.
Absolutely.
So,
So I'm curious as to like what led you to the music industry. Where did that start from?
it's a crazy story. I was at, I know where we're at right now, but I was at the University of Kansas. So, I don't know how people feel about that. But whatever the case is, I was at KU, and I was a football player at the time. And my coach got fired. New coach comes in. New coach doesn't too much like the old coach's players.
Yeah.
So he came to me. It was actually my year to kind of like start and get my opportunity to try to potentially make it to Sundays, right?
Yeah.
Didn't go well. He kind of just looked me in my face, said, "Hey, you're never
Tried
gonna
to
see the
clean
field."
house.
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
"You're never gonna see the field." Like I got JUCO transfers coming, and I got people who weren't playing at OU at the time in Oklahoma, the Sooners, and coming in that were like,
Damn.
which they were top tier,
Right.
And KU was pretty much in the same situation they're in now, as far as football.
Absolutely.
Basketball, obviously, we're elite, but football, we were always kind of marginal. So, he had some real talent coming in, and he was pretty rude. And I got to a point where I was like, I don't have to put up with this shit. I've worked my ass off, and to be real, I started to feel like, and this is no knock to athletes, but it's like, these people feel they can talk to you. I just like, I can make money doing something else. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna just always have to answer to these people talking to me crazy and all that shit. I didn't never like it, And so one day I'm walking, and I was like, and then I was sitting on the balcony, and it kind of hit me. It was like, oh man, like, you always loved music before sports took off for you. Your whole room looked like a soundstage. My whole life, I played drums, I played guitar. I had, like, if you went to my room as a child, it was like a soundstage. I had amplifiers, drum set, different types of guitars, tuned different ways. Like, and when sports took off for me, it just started collecting dust type shit. And now I'm at a cross point in my life, I feel like. I was like, well, you love music. You pinpoint songs pretty well. Your ears are pretty good. But I'm like, but I can't sing. I can't rap.
So what the fuck do you do?
What the fuck do I do? And it was like, wait a minute, maybe I can make the music. Maybe I can produce. And I remember I saw a commercial came on or some bullshit, like, and it was like about music production. It was some random shit. And I was like,
Or the
music
odds.
production.
Right.
Yeah, maybe
the
this is
odds.
right.
It's a sign
Maybe
from
this
God.
is a sign from God, right? Yo, so from that point, I just started producing, and I remember I made my first beat, played it for my friends, and they were like, man, like a lot of guys I play ball with, we clown each other and shit.
Right.
So I played this shit. I'm scared to play because I know they
you were expecting
dog
them
the
to
shit
just
out of me,
yeah.
and they were like, man, as much as we want to make fun of your ass, this shit actually good, bro. And I was like, for real? And they're like, yeah. So then I just kind of started, took off with it, got involved with college radio at KU, and started working with artists in Kansas City. Like, I started working with Strange Music. Shout out to Technim.
Yeah.
I worked with people in Topeka and different Wichita. I was like literally in my car. Anybody who wanted to work, I was in. St. Louis started to take off. I graduated. I was supposed to stay. Shout out to the lady who was with me. She was actually a very great person. But I was like, St. Louis is taking off. I could sit here and wait for her. She was in the architecture program, which would take longer.
Yeah.
So I could keep doing the shit I was doing in Kansas City. And I'm like, but St. Louis is on fire. I'm going back to my hometown. And then I was like, I'm going to go home. You finish school, but then obviously shit happens, music career takes off. It's just I found out it's not exactly what it's panned up to be, and definitely not made for her. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely does. The entertainment industry itself is a whole different level of beast.
It can be something crazy for a person who doesn't want it.
Yeah.
You feel me?
It
Like,
takes a level of dedication.
Yeah. Absolutely. Dedication and
sacrifice.
And also it takes a certain level of understanding from your partner.
Yeah.
Because it's not a normal.
It's not a 40-hour work week.
No,
it's not even close. It's like an 80-hour work week.
It might be more than that sometimes.
Yeah.
And
then you're bringing work home too.
And then you bring work home, and then you might have to travel.
Yeah.
And then there's never, because what I started to learn is that no matter what you do within the entertainment business, you are honestly just purely an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So meaning that if you guys aren't putting in the work, right, the work's not going to get done.
Yeah.
And so that drives your fire when you're trying to get somewhere, because you're like, I can go to bed right now, or I can do some more work.
Yeah, you stay up and do two more hours of editing or
correct,
creating a new beat for somebody to pitch. And
that is correct, yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's like, I find myself, if I'm not getting the work done, I can't fall asleep. Because the work stays there no matter what. So it's like, as an entrepreneur, there's a certain level and amount that you have to get done for you to be satisfied.
Correct.
And you wake up the next day and it's a whole nother level because you know that you have to get even more work done still.
Right.
And it's like that itself is so much to take on as an entrepreneur.
I agree. And that is, I think, the gift and the curse of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And then what you do is, over time of being an entrepreneur, you start to learn how to mitigate that.
Yeah.
Because what you have to find out is that I'm sure you guys have heard this shit on TikTok or watching Reels or whatever, but literally your most valuable asset is your time.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start to realize that you're spending all your time on something, right? You have to find a more productive way to do it. And that means sometimes like, sourcing things and, pinpointing talent, maybe putting in the work at the beginning, but then finding out a way for that work and continuously repeat itself without you having to always be present.
Yeah, creating like a passive income.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And I feel like everything as an entrepreneur, everything in your mind should always be thought of. The objective isn't to work yourself to death.
Right. The
objective is to find a solution. Find a solution, put people in position, move on, find another solution, put people in position, move on. And then now what you're doing, you're just creating revenue streams to where you're just literally going to your mailbox and maybe a little bit of like, boardroom meetings, maybe a little bit of management, like upper management type things, decision making.
Right.
But like, you don't have to be there, all the hours of the day anymore.
It's like building a watch,
That's correct.
I mean? It's like you put all these little tedious little gears in there so that it'll turn itself at some point.
Absolutely.
And then you build the next watch. The next thing you know, you're selling the watches. And
you're
raising the price.
I feel that. Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you said you got encouragement whenever you first made beats. Do you think like that was one of the main resources for you to like actually go through and put on?
You know what? As weird as that, no. I was still at that point. I would consider myself a hobbyist because I still didn't believe it. Yeah. So I was still like, even when I came back to St. Louis, I still took my LSAT. I wanted to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
So I still took my LSAT, and I still was taking classes to kind of keep fresh with school, just in case I wanted to go to law school. You know.
So you had a plan B.
Yeah. Absolutely, but I don't really suggest that, because it wasn't until I blew it up is when my career took off.
Right.
It was like the time when I literally looked my parents in the face. I'm like, no, I'm not going back to school, and I'm not going to law school. And they're like, what? You're a fucking idiot. And I was like, okay, well, we'll see. I'm doubling down on it. I feel like I'm gonna make it as a music producer. And then what happened was, shortly after that, some things kind of fall my way, and then, you know, because for a time my friends were making fun of me. I was ostracized. Parents were like, we don't get him, you know. He's done so much, and he's had all the, you know, all this totally bullshit, understand. Right? And so then I literally, you know, made it happen on my own at this point, me and my production partner at the time, and it would started to become, I'm out of town. Now they're like, wait a minute, hey, I need you to come. Oh, I'm in New York. Oh, I'm in Chicago. Oh, I'm in LA. They're like, how in the fuck are you in these places?
Right.
I'm like, music.
Yeah, I'm curious as to, like, if you don't mind talking about the breaks that you were given, and like how those led up to
my break was honestly this. The way I always approach life, even as a young person, I could see the qualities that I have now. Now I'm just a little bit more of a sharpened weapon. Before, I didn't know exactly what I was doing, but my mind was in the right place, knowing that I have to put myself in a position to be able to make something happen. I can't, for instance, like if I'm some guy, and shout out to these guys, if I'm just in my bedroom and I was making beats, right? And my objective is to make it, and I'm not networking with artists, and I'm not networking with people, because what I started to find out is people are the thing that connect dots.
Yeah.
Networking is the thing that connect. Your network is your net worth. I mean, so if you're able to put yourself in certain arenas and circles, no matter how you're there, I don't care if you're there sweeping the floor, but if you're still in the network, you're still an opportunity for you to bridge the gap between being in your bedroom and then actually having a placement or whatever. You can be an assistant engineer somewhere, and then if signed acts are walking through and you're actually making beats at your house, one day there's going to be this opening when you're sitting in that session. They're like, dude, I don't have any beats. Does anybody have any beats?
Right.
I do.
Right?
Type shit, you know?
Yeah.
And for me, my opportunity was this. I had this weird feeling in my stomach where I literally drove to school to, you know, and this is so I'm just taking classes to kind of stay fresh. I drove to so I sat in the parking lot, and I'm like, something in me, I was like, I just don't want to go, because once I started making beats, it started to overconsume me.
Right.
To where I'm like, I can't even concentrate on this shit. And I'm already done with school. And then, honestly, do I really want to be an attorney now? Do I even really want to do that shit? And so I'm sitting in the parking lot, I'm talking to myself, and I'm just like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to go to Guitar Center, because it was a problem I was having with my gear with my old production partner before the production partner when we actually took off. The guy who talks to me becomes our production partner. We didn't know this was going to happen, but it was just fate. I was out there cleaning my car out, and then they opened the store up. The first person who greets me is him. Me and him talk. I find out that he has a lot of knowledge about a lot of things because he's been doing it. I had a lot of street smart, meaning that I was like, well, so you're telling me that he's telling me stories. I'm saying, so you're telling me people like Nelly and them, they come here and buy equipment and shit? He's like, yeah. I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm waiting tables, okay? You're going to call me when any of those motherfuckers are there. I don't give a fuck who comes in here. Anybody who has, like, anything that's on, right? I was like, because St. Louis was on fire at this time. I was like, anytime they're on, like, I'm going to come and I'm going to meet you here, and we're going to talk to them in the sound room, and we're going to let them hear beats. And he was like, damn, I never thought about it like that. He said, yeah. I said, dude, this is an opportunity.
Right.
So now we just got to make the relationship. And I said, fuck, we'll give him shit. Because then he told me, yo, and this is, I'm not condoning this, by the way, but there were no cameras there at the time. So, I would go buy a strobe light, and he would pack a bunch of software in there. That's how we even, because back then you honestly needed an investor to become a producer.
Right.
Okay? It wasn't so accessible as it is now. We did that, and I was like, you know what? We can actually hook them up. That's how we get our end.
Yeah.
So some guys come in first, you know, it's like I think Murphy Lee or something like that came in, and then I want to say like Trife, who's Nelly's touring DJ to this day, came in, and then so I'm meeting with so now I'm starting to know these guys, right? I knew Murph from back in the day, but now, you know, people get on, they change, you know how it goes. So you got to get kind of reacclimated. Mm-hmm. But I think the game changing point was a young Jaquan comes in, and he's like, yo, let me hear some of y'all fucking beats. Because now I'm up there. I'm like, oh, I'm there. Boom. Man, this shit fire. I need these motherfuckers. And I said, okay, let's do it. You know? And so then later on, he flaked on us. But then there was another guy who came in, and he actually was a guitar player for the Track Boys, which was the managing, production team for, like, Jaquan. And they already had hits, like, you know what I mean? And so I was like, yo, tell, you know, Tarboy, shout out to Tarboy, he gave me my break. Like, hey, we'll hook him up. He's like, they'll hook me up with what? For free? Oh, yeah, head them fuck under the crib. So then now we're at the crib, and then now, boom, 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 establishing, make a relationship. So then one day I'm working, they have a signed act that's in town. I'm going to leave them nameless, but it's a signed act, and her and him weren't getting along. She was a singer, and so they called me up. I'm at work. I'm waiting tables. They like, yo, you know how to engineer, right? And I was like, yeah. No, I don't. Okay, I don't know how to fucking engineer. You know what I mean? I know how to make beats, right? Yeah. But I was like, I don't give a fuck. yeah. Why? What's going on? Right? What's going on? And they're like, yeah, we need you to come engineer because Tar got into it with the girls, so we need somebody here now. I said, well, I'm at work. They're like, so you're telling me you can't make it? And I was like, give me 5 minutes. I was like, oh, my stomach hurts. Oh, you know, all the bullshit you tell your boss. Yeah. And they're like, come on, Ash. I know your music career is doing good, but come on. Like, what are you doing to us? You know? And so I get out of work, and then I go, and then she's screaming at me because she's like, who in the fuck is out there? Do you know what to do? I just know how to record and play. You know, I don't really know anything. I don't know all the, you know, intricate details of Pro Tools. And so she comes out. She's like, I'm sorry I was being a bitch, but I didn't like the other guy. She's like, do you have beats? And I was like, yeah. And it was these A&Rs in from New York, and it was these songwriters in. And I was like, yeah. I started playing beats. Songwriters started humming something. Other songwriters said, oh, wait, I got some. Wait. And they wrote this fucking amazing song, right? And boom, had a placement. So then when I got that placement, I was like, damn, it's that easy just being in the room, right? So you start to kind of realize that it's not necessarily like, damn, am I good enough, or am I ready, or if I'm not ready, or all that. It's really about like putting yourself in a position to where it can actually happen, right? Right. So from that point, he was like, oh, okay, y'all did good. He took his cut, but then we went to the bank. It was time to get paid. He was like, okay, so you did the engineering, you did this and this, this and this. And then we go to the bank, and then I get this check, and I'm like, I'm never working again. I just fucking spent one day over here, and I'll be working my ass off to make this kind of money. Hourly and tips and every guy, and I was a good waiter. You know, I had great clients, and shout out to the people who, you know, they know. Like, but I honestly was a great waiter, and I make this fucking money doing this for 1 or 2 days. I said, oh no, this is it. I quit. So then I remember my boss called me. He's like, well, Ashley, what are you gonna do? I said, well, listen, no hard feelings, but I quit. I don't know how I don't know how sustainable this is gonna be. I don't know if it's gonna keep coming, but this one opportunity did land, so I'm just gonna keep riding it. And so, but from that, I developed relationships. So then Tar's, I mean, you just be over here, right? And then it put you in position. Yeah, now I'm a staff producer. Right. Now I'm on the road. Now I'm traveling. Now we going across the country. Now we working with everybody. Working with all these national acts. We're working with all the top creme de creme acts here. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm in the studio with everybody. Yeah. And I start to build a name because it wasn't necessarily that I say that I was as good as people like Tar and those guys. They had more experience, but I had potential. So therefore, but now, right now, with that potential, it was like I was good enough, if that makes sense. Yeah. Even though I still had a lot to learn, but yeah. So then that was like my breaking point. And then from that point, things just, like, I mean, when you talk about hyperdrive, it was like this. It was like I went from that to then all people were making fun of me, all being like, yo, hey man, can I borrow some money? Or
talking about,
hey,
I know this guy.
Yeah, I know him. Oh my God, he can get us in the club. He can get us in the VIP. He can do this.
No.
My parents like, oh yeah, my family, all like kissing my ass. Everybody's kissing my ass at this point. I went from being the black sheep to the person that everybody come to.
How did, like, whenever you were first put in the position around other, like, people who were up there already, did you ever deal with, like, an imposter syndrome or anything like that?
What you mean?
Like, feeling like, damn, how am I put in this position already? Like, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people, they see artists or superstars, and they're like, they feel like they're not comparable to them because they're so great or so talented.
Correct. Well, you do until you get there. And you start to find these people aren't as good as you think.
And they're just
Dude, it's like this set. It's lights, camera, action, man.
Yeah.
So things look away and to the audience
right.
that really in all reality isn't the true fact.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you get there, actually it started to become more, I guess, I started to gain confidence because I'm like, dude, I'm better than him. And I look up to these guys.
Yeah.
The fuck? And these guys have like Grammys and plaques every goddamn where, and I'm like, but we get in the studio, they're like looking at me, what do you think I should do next?
And that
type shit,
that like the confidence builder, that's gotta be
that was confidence builder. But then also I'm gonna tell you the imposter syndrome, I would take it in a different way. When I went to LA, there were some incredible songwriters and producers. I mean, if I was gonna be 100% honest, they were 100 times better than me.
Yeah.
I was just in position. They would bring me shit. And they'd be like, Ashley, just listen to. And I'm listening. I'm like, why the fuck aren't they on?
Right.
Yeah. Like, they're so much better than me. But I'm in position, they're not. And that's why I had to realize what I just said. I'm in position, they're not. So that's why I had to realize that this game is really more about networking.
Yeah.
Because, and showing up. You show up, you network. All this other shit works itself out. You'll get good and you'll get at least passable because you'll hear music, right? You'll hear everybody's heard musicians or heard some songs that are being like flung down our throats, right? And you can see, or maybe this musician isn't the best musician ever, right?
Right.
They're just in a position.
Yeah.
Right? And that's not to take a knock at anybody. God bless them. They in a position. Take advantage of it. Make the money. I don't care.
Right.
I'm just saying that, but it's not for when you're trying to become really great at something, you think it's a skill thing. Right. When the skill sometimes is really the same skill that gets you by in life, period, which is who you know.
Absolutely. And it's all about building that.
Correct. Now, obviously, cherry on top of the cake is if you're great, if you're good at what you do.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? But the cake is I think built upon the back of people you know and
showing.
Absolutely.
I mean, the showing up thing is
you got to show up.
Absolutely the most dire necessity.
People psych themselves out of opportunity all the time. They don't even know if they just show up that some shit will work in their favor. Don't be scared. Just go.
So a lot of people are just scared to put themselves in that position or in that room with people that they look up to that are so great.
They're going to find out that they actually might even be better than those people.
Right. That's
the sad part. Yeah. But they're so scared of those people. They don't look at them like they're human beings. They're human beings, man. They eat, sleep, shit. Yeah. They have a lot of flaws. They're just in position.
They have fears.
They have a lot of fears. They actually be fear of you.
Yeah. Right.
You want to have a dollar. They will be scared of you. They'll be billionaires. There'll be people like Ye and them will come in here and be intimidated because you guys got some pulse on something that he doesn't have a pulse on. Does that make sense?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So we had Faith on the podcast.
Correct.
You work with her. You're her manager.
Absolutely.
I'm so curious to hear how that story happened. Now, I know this is going to be a lot of stories that you're telling. Yes. Man, I just want to know these things.
The Faith story was a crazy story, man, because initially how I even got wind of her was when another artist that I work with and produce and manage and all that is Gusto. And Gusto, we had like a nice little run. We had did a deal, but it kind of killed the momentum of his single was the whole COVID thing because everything got grounded. But we did our deal literally 2 months before COVID. So you guys got to imagine the heartache with that. Oh my God, dog. I could cry about it right now. But anyway, because we were like set for liftoff, right? So, but in this area, we actually started to gain a little bit of buzz. So, somebody from her camp at the time reached out about potential feature for Faith on a record with him, and and he brings it to me. He's like, yo, it's this girl. I think she wants to do a feature. And I was like, who's the girl? And he sends it to me. I'm like, who the fuck is this? And so then I played a video, and I'm like, no way, this is her fucking voice.
Right.
I ain't gonna fake it. I was like, no. I'm like, no way. And I'm like, no way this exists in fucking St. Louis and I don't know about it. I'm pissed, kind of. I'm like, how in the world does this exist with this person, with this voice, right? And I have never heard of her, right? So then he's like, yeah, no, she wants to work. Like, I said, okay, well, shit, see what's up. Shit, that'll be dope, you know? And so then through that, I think maybe it might have been a follow. Maybe I followed her, like, to kind of keep a scope, because I'm like, once people put on my radar, I'm watching.
It's like an A&R, you know?
Yeah, I'm an A&R. I'm watching from afar, even if you don't even know who I am, you know?
Right.
And so I did that, and this is, like, probably, like, all in the, like, probably, like, around this time of year, that year, and which would have to be, if it's 2022, 2021. So, like, the fall time of that year. So then it started to kind of, like, I was like, man, I'm like, wait a minute, this is good. I'm like, who in the hell is working with her? Who in the world is, you know? So I'm doing a deep dive. I really didn't know anybody she was really working with. And then they came to find out. I'm like, dude, I found out she wasn't from St. Louis.
Yeah.
Because then Gus was like, no, man, she's not from St. Louis, bro. She's from Kirksville. And I said, that's why.
It's all making sense
now.
now.
Now the picture's being developed, you know? So I made a note to myself, like, literally, I'm like that meticulous about things, and I actually script my life. We'll talk about that later. But, like, I literally wrote down, I said, have conversations with the girl from Kirksville top of the year. So I started having backdoor conversations about her without her even having a conversation with me like that yet. We follow each other on the gram, but we haven't technically had that conversation, you know. And I'd say, hey, just let me know next time you're in town, you know. We'll figure it out. And I remember my father passed away earlier this year, but my father said, Ashley, you always talked about that girl Kirksville. Don't forget about her. He always say, just don't forget. He always say, don't forget. And that's some weird omen shit, right? Yeah. So, like, literally when because he would just bring it up randomly. I'm like, Dad, listen, I'm fucking busy. I would, like, yell at him. I'm like, I'm fucking, you know what I have on my plate right now? I'm busy. I'll get to her as soon as I have some fucking time, you know? No offense, Faith, but we didn't know each other yet, you know? So,
you hadn't developed that rapport.
Right, we haven't developed the rapport yet. So I was like, you know, I'll get to her when I get to her, you know, type shit, you know? But I'm like, I definitely got an eye on her. So as it kind of progresses, she comes here, like, I want to say we met. I'm listening to her video. I'm letting people hear it. I'm doing all this shit, like this live thing that she did with her prior production company, and people are just like, no fucking way, just floored, right? And I'm just like, yeah, I'm floored too. Like, and this shit actually exists, like, here, right under our nose, right?
It's real,
right? It's real. And so I said, but let's really find out if it's real. I need to meet with her first, you know what I mean? Type shit. So. One day she actually hits me and is like, yo, I'm gonna be in St. Louis, and this is like after the top of the year. I'm gonna be in St. Louis, and I pull up at Blondie's in St. Louis. People know this shit, like it's off Washington, you know. She's at Blondie's. She comes, gets in the car. I know it's a little weird. She don't know me, so it's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah. You know. So then she gets in the car, and I was like, well, listen, like, yeah, let's just listen to, you know, some more music. Let's kind of, you know,
get it figured out.
Right, kind of get it figured. I'm listening, and I'm just sitting there quietly. She's just playing song after song after song. I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, no fucking way. And
like,
you're telling me
this is actually her?
Right, and she's just sitting here with, like, I'm like, okay, we got to figure this out. Right. You know what I mean? So then what happened was after that, we got a rapport. So she was like, you know what? Fuck it. We can finish talking at Blondie's. We started talking. And then from that point on, shit, we just been jamming, you know what I mean? Putting together plays and plans. Now, trust me, it's been a process. But, you know, because whenever you start working with a new brand or a new artist, you have to earn their trust. more than just trusting them as a person. They gotta trust you. They gotta trust you as a producer. They gotta trust what you can do. They can trust everything, and that takes time to build. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so we took our time with it, and we did that, and now we got the report. And now we're ready, and clearly we have a monster single that's about to drop. So she is in the building. She'll probably come say hi a little later, but that's definitely like what time it is.
Graciously asked to take the cover art for that.
Yes, and I want to thank Kyle and Terrence for also being insightful in the video.
Yeah.
And doing the cover artwork, and just being very supportive of Faith from since the day I've met you guys. You guys have been very supportive of her and her brand, and it's much love. You know what I mean? And I look forward to obviously doing things here and moving forward.
Well, and it's like you see like what you see in her. We see the same thing.
Absolutely.
It's not just the talent and the way that she articulates and her voice. It's her personality.
Everything.
Like
man.
it's all the things that you need to make a star, and she has all of those things.
It's a package.
And I know she's probably like blushing right now.
Yeah, she a 5-star player over there. You hear me?
Absolutely.
Like, oh God.
Whenever you met her, did she have that personality? Or
Yeah.
It's like given.
It's just who
you
she
knew.
is, man.
Yeah.
She ain't hiding
100%.
And it's so funny, man. Cause I work with everybody in St. Louis, and I'll be like, it's the studio. Shout out to Blowing Money Fast, BMF. You know what I'm saying, those guys. But I'll literally walk in there. I say, you know what's so crazy? Faith got more heart than every motherfucker in here, and I stand on that shit.
Yeah.
Because she does.
And that's why she's gonna make it.
That's why she's gonna totally make it.
Exactly.
It's an easy equation, guys.
100%.
Listen, there is no pep talk like an Ashley Booker pep talk. Can you tell that he used to play football? And they really used to just
They called you coach, didn't they?
That's what I became over time.
Yeah.
But I feel like he knows what he's doing, and he really understands us as artists, because it's like on a producing element, it's like you're also kind of an artist yourself, because like you're creating, and so he kind of understands like all of the emotions and stuff, but he also understands the business too. So it's like he gets the best of both worlds.
Oh God! All right,
Hannah Montana.
And on that note, that was Ashley Booker and Faith Miller. You're watching The Worst Show. Thanks for tuning in. For artists and entrepreneurs, we are out.